Welcome to Channel 24. Joining me now is Stanislav Belkovsky, political analyst and writer, is joining me now. Stanislav, my greetings and thank you for joining us online.
Hello, and thank you for your invitation, as usual.
Stanislav, let's talk about diplomacy of American president this week. Right now, probably at this minute, they are preparing or already met with the Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orbán. What do you think the main purpose of his visit? Because, you know, I'm kind of confused of different ideas that I saw on media.
Regardless of any tactical problems and aspects, Viktor Orbán remains Trump's key ally in Europe, especially taking into consideration that Donald Trump is still displeased with the European Union. I cannot say he hates European leaders, but he does not consider himself their friend. Of course, now we've got a new book on Trump, written by an ABC journalist. Misfortunately, I've forgotten his name, which is called Revenge. Revenge, of course, it's a most proper word for Trump and the philosophy, the psychology of his second term. Revenge to everybody and anybody who had been in the way, who prevented him from coming to power, staying in power, and getting back to power in 2024. And European leaders and European Union are perceived such. That's why for any Euro dissidents like Viktor Orbán, Robert Fico, and Andrej Babiš getting back to power in Czechia are very important and are of primary interest, of primary attractiveness to Trump. But at the same time, we should emphasize that Viktor Orbán supported openly in public Donald Trump before his getting back to power in 2024. He's come to Mar-a-Lago in Florida, to Trump's estate, and said something like, "Mr. President, get back and bring us peace." So Viktor Orbán put at risk his relationship with the United States and US elites in case if Trump had lost. And of course, Trump appreciates this risk and Orbán's devotion to himself. That's why Orbán would ask for exceptions from the sanctions imposed on Russia and Russian oil sector, because he has underlined several times that being deprived of the seashore, so Hungary is still fully dependent on Russian oil, and in that way, America should allow Hungary to get Russian oil from Rosneft, Lukoil, and so on. And I don't know how successful it would be. At the same time, Orbán mentioned, right today, I think, or yesterday, that the summit, US-Russian summit in Budapest, could take place in a couple of days if some small time problems are resolved between two countries. And Orbán hinted that maybe those problems do not even concern Ukraine and the war in Ukraine. I'm still not quite sure, but Orbán remains, of course, very important to Trump, and so he would use this as a leverage to reach his goals. The basic goal for Orbán, with big distance to all other objectives and tasks, is to stay in power forever. Like, for instance, Putin or Erdogan or Bibi Netanyahu in Israel is striving to do so, though it happens both in traditional autocracies like Russia and in full-scale democracies like Israel or Hungary. And of course, this support from Trump, from Putin, and the summit itself in Budapest is very important from this point of view.
Yes, okay, I see. But it's also very interesting that, I don't know, do you believe Orbán, when he is justifying his desire to get the oil from Rosneft, like the absence of sea? Is that the main reason?
No, of course. There are numerous routes, diverse routes, how to get oil to Hungary. It's not so lucrative for Hungary, maybe. But Orbán emphasizes that first and foremost, he tries to be fully independent on all European goals, pan-European goals. especially taking into consideration that the majority of European Union leaders, and especially the leaders of leading basic European countries like Germany or France, are against the interminable way of Orban's in power, his endless stay in power. Orban understands this. So the idea of isolation, fragmentation, distancing itself and his country from the European Union is the way, is a mechanism, an instrument of how to stay in power more and more. And he should decrease the dependence of himself and his country on the European Union. And that's why he's so much interested in Russia as oil and gas supplier, to counterbalance European influence and to emphasize once again that the European Union had been established many years ago as an economical union, not political one. And so politically, he is a leader of an independent country, should be stay apart from all European goals and from the preparation from the basic goal of European Union to prepare itself for full-scale war with Russia, with the Russian Federation headed by Vladimir Putin, because the Europe considers this readiness to full-scale war as the only way to avoid the war. Not, of course. And Orban doesn't want to participate in it, to spend any resources, to inject and invest any resources in such preparations. And so he would balance between Trump, Putin, and European Union. And, of course, the oil itself has secondary meaning within this context.
Stanislav, it's been almost 10 months since Donald Trump's presidency began. And he treats the whole world like, one single target audience. And recently he said there is no red line that could make him lose patience with Putin. Why does he say that, you think? And is he leaving room for negotiations or something else?
Yes, he's leaving room for negotiations because he still needs a Russian Federation to counterbalance China, which he considers the main threat and the main competitor to the United States. And it's been Trump's point of view for ages. It was elaborately formulated. It's been elaborately formulated already in Trump's book, America We Deserve of 2000. China is a basic problem for his country. To a certain extent, he is right, though some of Trump's geopolitical concepts are, in my opinion, and to similar extent, to a certain extent, out of date. But nonetheless, yes, China and America was breeding this China threat by itself since Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger era, when they ousted the Republic of China, Taiwan, from the Security Council of the UN, when they recognized and opened totalitarian communist China to the world, thinking that it would be very profitable from their fighting against the Soviet Union point of view. And as a result, so now they garner what they did by themselves, especially by enormous investment in China since, especially in the 1990s and the first decade of... that's why Trump is still in need of Russia, is still in need of Putin, and Putin is manipulating this willingness of Trump to reach the pact in the field of natural resources, first and foremost, rare earth metals, lithium, and different large projects, big-time projects connected with Arctics.
Stanislav, since you mentioned China, I've heard you once made your own interpretation of explanation of abbreviation of China. Is that true? Could you please just put a light on that? What is your take?
When we're talking about the sins of traditional Occidental elites.
Okay.
It's 5G, 5 grounds, but in English, it's abbreviation China, corruption, hypocrisy, incompetence, nepotism, and arrogance. Those sins who incited the feeling of revenge, retribution, among many constituents, among dozens of millions of people all over the world, and first and foremost in the US, which helped Donald Trump to get back to power a year ago, and at the same time, and on the other flank of American politics, brought to power Zohran Mamdani in New York.
Okay, so going back to the American president. So Trump's approval rating has dropped slightly, but not dramatically. Why do you think Americans still approve of him? And did they simply just get what they voted for?
Americans are to some extent disappointed with their leader. And the results, election results in New York, New Jersey, and Virginia show this. Yes, of course, all those states, New York City and the states of New Jersey and Virginia are blue ones, democratically leaning. But we see that the results are more radically anti-Trump than it was expected before, and that it has been during the former electoral cycles. So that's why Trump, being considered as anti-establishment leader, has not proven fully his readiness and his determination in fighting the traditional elites. He has not disclosed Jeffrey Epstein files, which caused different suspicions that he could be involved himself in communications with Jeffrey Epstein, delicate communications, and some mysteries connected with this guy committed suicide, killed himself in 2019. He has pardoned some very doubtful persons like Sanchez, for instance, former Congressman Sanchez, who invented his biography from the very beginning to the end, pretending to be Jew of Jewish origin, which has had nothing to do with, and so on. And the arguments of Trump, when pardoning Sanchez, were to a very considerable extent ridiculous. Trump just said that Democrats are crooks as well. That's why nothing hinders me to pardon Sanchez. Trump used his presidential post, his presidential position to earn money and to create new conditions, new opportunities for his World Liberty Financial Alliance, dealing primarily with cryptocurrencies. It was a bit suspicious from some part of Trump's electorate point of view. And finally, not just left-wing radicals are fully against Trump, but Trump has caused some internal contradictions within his own camp, MAGA and America First, which are displeased and disappointed that Donald Trump concentrates, contrary to his pre-election promises, is concentrating very much on international problems and conflicts, and is still involving America in those conflicts, including military involvement, and less concentrating on domestic agenda. All this, of course, and when Trump triumphantly was getting back to power a year ago, many constituents voted for him who were bitterly disappointed with George Floyd, BLM and Me Too, with attempts to revise the legacy of father founders of the America, and so on and so on. But many of those people now are a little bit disappointed with Trump, and the results of New York City elections show this. Of course, Trump remains the most charismatic leader, and remains a charismatic leader, a very, very bright guy, and he still has numerous political resources and opportunities to regain the support and popularity, especially with regard to forthcoming Congress elections in 2026. At the same time, Trump has learned many lessons from his fellow autocrats, like Putin, Erdogan, and so on. and maybe some autocratic technologies by frightening the sponsors of his political opponents, tight grasp on traditional legacy media and so on, would be used to get sure that he will still keep control over both chambers of Congress in 2026 elections. But at the same time, we see that the results of those elections in New York City, Virginia, and New Jersey show that America is not Russia nor Turkey, and so the possibilities of the president to control the political process is still restricted and limited by the traditional ground of American democracy.
Well, we'll hope for that it's not Turkey, not Russia, and will never be. And finally, Stanislav, probably you've heard the rumors that Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, somehow disappeared and probably not in charge because of his absence at the Security Council, security meeting chaired by dictator Putin. Do you know something about that, or is that even possible?
Not just the Security Council, but Lavrov is replaced by Putin's assistant Maxim Oreshkin as a head of Russian delegation to G20 summit in South Africa, and replaced by Deputy Prime Minister Mr. Overchuk at the coming ASEAN meeting. So all this caused and emphasized additional rumors that maybe Putin is not so more convinced than Lavrov. Of course, Lavrov is a very important and very devoted servant of Vladimir Putin. I think the word servant reflects the sense and essence of Lavrov to the utmost. He's not a lie, of course, because for Putin cannot be allies within the system of power. Servants or slaves. Lavrov not slave, of course, but servant is quite precise definition.
Oh, yeah, that's quite accurate about him. Yes.
But maybe Lavrov has got too tired of his job, especially taking into account his some harmful habits, let's say so, and maybe his health does not allow him to be as active as before. But it doesn't. It shouldn't be considered too seriously, because all principal decisions are made by Putin himself. And in such way, there is no principal, substantial difference between Lavrov, Kirill Dmitriev, Maxim Oreshkin, or any others of Putin's servants who could transmit Putin's will and Putin's position to the outside. So that's why Putin is not forced to fire Lavrov, even he is disappointed. So all those rumors that Lavrov has undermined this Budapest meeting by his unsuccessful conversation with Marco Rubio is, I think, strongly exaggerated, because even if this conversation was unsuccessful, nothing depends on Lavrov on this. 100% is dependent on Putin himself.
Yeah. Well, so the rumors will stay rumors. And Stanislav, I think that I want to left a space for us for the next time to discuss what I've discovered about Putin, that he have this Putin preserves. That's a pre-recorded video in advance. And I think if you don't mind, for the next time, we're going to discuss that in our studio.
Fully prepared for such conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and dedication.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Entirely at your disposal. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.